Hello everyone.
Hi.
It's my
Hi, good
pleasure.
afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to today's webinar.
Thank you.
Uh, my name is Indrajit Sauji. I head the construction and design vertical for ITP in India, and I'll be your host today.
It's okay.
Thank you all for the overwhelming response to this webinar series. We are humbled when the response is fabulous. Like so many people joining in, and we are still getting requests to join the webinar.
It's fine.
For people who couldn't attend our yesterday's session, it's live now on our website. You can watch it there. And before beginning the webinar, I would like to know if the audio and video are clear with the audience as well.
Yes.
If any issues with the communication, do let us know by the chat so that we can sort it out soon. Please highlight it in the chat. Uh, Let me give you a brief introduction about ITP before we begin. ITP Media Group is one of the largest foreign media companies in India. The group now publishes more than 100 weekly and monthly magazines and has a wide portfolio of market-leading digital properties. Some of our well-known global titles includes magazines like Harper's Bazaar, Vogue, Time Out, Cosmopolitan, Grazia, Construction Week, Architect and Interiors India, and I can go on. Actually, we have 100 plus. In India, we have 7 titles, including Construction Week. Construction Week is one of our largest circulated construction magazines with global presence and presence across geographies. We have editions in English and Arabic, and very soon we are planning to come up with our Hindi edition. We'll keep you updated on that. Now, let me come back to today's webinar. Today, we are going to discuss on topic airports gaining altitudes, majorly revolving around constructing and renovating an airport. And we have the subject matter experts today speaking on this topic. There is also going to be a poll during the session. Results of the poll will be shared on the website. After each segment, we will be screening a poll, and I request each one of you to cast your votes. In case if you have any question during the course of the session, please feel free to ask them by using the question tab on the top left corner of your screen. We have kept a Q&A session towards the end of the segment where these questions can be answered. Please mention which speaker are these questions addressed to, in case if you wish to ask any particular question to a particular speaker. My team and I are looking forward to the questions, and we'll try to answer as many as possible. Without any further ado, let me begin and hand over to my colleague Jayashree. Jayashree, can you please introduce the panel to the audience now?
Right. Good afternoon, everyone. So we have with us 5 panelists today, mainly all with the expertise in developing or maintaining or renovating airports. We have Chintan Shukla, who is the Vice President Project Planning and Design and Head of Design, GVK Airports. We have K. Ranjan, who is the Head of Quality L&T Construction with Chennai Airport. We have Uma Shankar, Head of Quality of L&T Construction, Delhi Airport. Hari Ravi Kumar, AVP and Regional Head, Chennai, Shapurji Palonji, ENC. And we have Mr. Jairam Panch, VP and MD, Turner Project Management, India. Shall we start with the questions now?
Yeah, please.
Chintan, I would like to throw my first question at you.
Sure.
Since you've been, GVK runs a lot of airports, and you have the expertise. Design of airports is taking on novel forms globally. If you look at some of the modern airports of the world, they're not like the earlier airports that we were used to. The Stade, this is Stade Airport that we lived in or we went to. If you had to consider a design a decade ago and today, what has changed?
Good afternoon, everyone. I think it's a very, very interesting question. I think a decade ago, most of the airports, they were more thinking about efficiency, bringing in efficiency in every process, whether it starts from the check-in to the security to the immigration and all the all the processes, how the baggage handling system works. And so it was more focused design to get the most optimum efficiency out of it. I think most of the airports being designed in that decade, a decade ago, were more focused on this. And we as human beings, we always want more, right? As we grow old, and hence the industry also, people started having more expectations with their exposure, and everyone talks of getting best experience these days. So the whole focus has more shifted from efficiency to today, where every airport that is being designed and everyone globally has been talking more about passenger experience. So passengers want best experience at the least price. Now that is the challenge that every airport operator or every airport designer or every stakeholder who is involved in this process, it becomes a challenge. It's a tension, right? Like every passenger wants on one end best experience and on other end at cheapest price, and that really leads into tension and thinking out of box. And that's what this time is. It's to think out of box and to innovate. And that's what I think is going to happen in this decade the most for passenger experience.
Jayashree, you are on
Anybody
mute.
else, would anybody else like to answer this question on design, on how design has changed in the last 1 decade? Would anybody like to answer this? Let's move on to the next question.
One second, Jayashree. I think design is something very integral. I think, Mr. Umar Shankar, I think you would like to say something. I think this is, design is really something which brings in the cutting edge in a project, and that too, especially in airport.
Yeah, sure. What I would like to, I will simply toe the line what Chintan shared. It's like these days the design has to be satisfying the stakeholder, and today the spectrum of stakeholders has gone so wide. So the design input as well as output needs to be available even just before the start of the project itself. Like today we are thinking of BIM, the information modeling and the system, everything has to be available right at the time of start of the project, so that during the construction activity stage, the design interface becomes an enabling service. Then there can be a possible or a probable change or a delay or anything which no one can afford. So design has to be full on its own even before the start of the project. That's what I look at it.
And sir, also in terms of looking at and also how to anticipate the future needs, I mean, do you also take care of that in the design aspect?
That may not be my area. Like, I'm totally into the quality management. What we do is that as a part of our quality management system, we try to ensure that the design is being audited on a regular basis, that the contractual conditions, the technical specifications are all well considered, the type of material that they have planned to use in the design, the type of design criteria that they have considered, they all meet the requirements. That's how we look at it. Chintan will be able to kind of.
Yeah, I think it's a very valid question, and it's most difficult as well, because in airport design, there's one thing constant in airport design, and that is change. Because the very fact that there are so many variants in the process of design, there are so many stakeholders, there are so many things which you need to think about in future. When you start designing an airport, you are thinking 50 years ahead. Now today, in this scenario, when there are so many disruptions happening in world, which are like, you can't even imagine what will happen 2 years down the line. And here you have to think of 50 years down the line. So it's definitely a big challenge. And that's why I say that, airports have the best way to design airports is to make the design as flexible as it can. It's like a living organism. It can shape itself, it can contract, it can expand, it can, bring in other individual, other living being into it. Or so it should actually be designed in a way that it becomes more flexible to cater to the future need. And that's what every designer is being challenged with designing the airport and the operators.
I think this is really, a very tough assignment. And I think for designers, it's a nightmare to actually, get everything encompassed to bring into the airport. But you're absolutely correct, sir. One has to keep it ready and accommodating for every need. Jairam, you are obviously from the project side, and do you want to make a comment on this?
It's me, right?
Yes, Mr. Jairam.
To me, the design has undergone a sea change. I would definitely agree with what Mr. Chintan talked about passenger experience. So when you're talking about airports, we have three components. We're talking about land side, we're talking about air side, we're talking about terminals. As such, if you look at terminals, that's where the passenger experience is the most. The most critical thing is being a public space. I think a lot of focus these days has gone to the operation and maintenance of terminals in the long run. How do we make it very simple? How do we make it cost efficient? Because it reduces our operating cost substantially. And if you look at the choice of materials that you use, for example, a flooring, you can talk from moving to a carpet, to a terrazzo, to a granite, to, and various other things. I think those things are being talked about it, and there's a lot of user experience and feedback that's being taken into. Apart from that, one of the important things of an airport is it needs to, as a design, it needs to stay for a long period of time. It has a life of at least 10, if not more, in terms of the functional elements. Therefore, flexibility in design, be it architecture, be it MEP, be it baggage handling systems, be it IT, be it ICT, be anything, the flexibility is very, very important. How can it integrate to absolutely the changes in technology, how it can embrace in a very seamless manner. So those things are a big challenge, but I think all our operators in India, they have done a fantastic job in bringing in the best of consultants, the best of team together to address these. The airports that we have, you look at Delhi, you look at Bangalore, you look at Mumbai, you look at all of them, I'm telling you, it's a testimony to all of this. The last 10 years has undergone it's a fantastic situation where we are now undergoing the second phase, which is expansion. So I think the challenges of an expansion are very different, but if you ask me about design, I would probably say that's what it is. Over.
Yeah, I think that really puts a whole perspective. Jayashree.
I have a question for Jairam, since he mentioned about various materials, various services, integration of these. So this question is related to what are some of the innovative ways in which you ensure all parties work together to achieve a smooth and cost-effective project, Mr. Jairam?
Great. That's something that we always face. It's a challenge. I would begin by saying that, the project management services is a very specialized service. Unlike what is being felt in the market or being perceived in the market, it's a very, very specialized thing because we're dealing with humans. All that we are trying to do is we put the best people out the job, we have the best processes, and then we have a way how to make sure that all the parties are working together to make it happen. One of the innovative management approach that I can think of is an integrated team approach. On the projects that we are managing right now, one of it that we are fostering is having an integrated team with client, with contractor and PMC and other consultants working together as one team. It's extremely important for all of us to work together as one team that, it deepens the bond, it brings the best commitment out of the people. And most importantly, the team building that happens from top down, it benefits the team a lot. I think if this approach is successfully done, I think 90% of our problem is solved. The next thing that I would really think in terms of really innovative, I wouldn't say it is very innovative, but it's been a very underlying tool of how project management practice is done is communication. It's all about communication. It might sound so simple, but it's the most complex. There are various forms of communication that we have. We have electronic medium these days. You have laptops. I mean, you're probably having we're having an overload of communication these days. But the right communication with the right team, it helps in building a high level of transparency, building a lot of trust among the people. Misinformation is a big reason for a lot of issues between the team members. It could be between the companies, between the partners, between the stakeholders. So it's extremely important. And if this happens well, and we have to set this up, if you set it up properly and then you kind of monitor them, I think it's the right way how things will really happen. The other thing that I can talk about is also a project control tools. If you say, how is a project successful, or what are the innovative ways? It's about the project control tools. How do we track a schedule? How do we track costs? How do we manage risks? How do we manage procurement? How do we manage all the last minute changes that happen? I mean, even the situation right now that we are facing right now about COVID-19, all of us are making enough plans as to a restart, or how do we come back, with the team that's available, what's the best idea that we can come out to? We are working again collaboratively with everybody. All these things are, extremely important. As I said, management is one of the most specialized, really complicated. It needs a very, very agile mindset. We need to make sure that everybody really chips in. Nobody can have the best of information and say that I am super important. It's a team effort. It's a collaborative effort. And that's the only way it will happen. I think our industry is like that, unless and until we don't come together and contribute and share the information, we cannot happen. So as simple as that, I would just say, summarize with those 3 points, I think are the biggest success mantra to turn around a very good project.
So team effort and collaborative approach is the success mantra. Very well said. Mr. Ravi Kumar, would you like to take it ahead? Would you like to comment on it? You are on mute, Mr. Ravi Kumar. If you can unmute your mic and then speak.
Yeah. In terms of architecture, we can all agree to the point that there has been, every airport wants to have some uniqueness attached to it. So that is a pressure. Definitely, it opens an entire arena for a sea change and a better perspective in terms of architectural design. And if you see the recent airports, even in terms of glazing, we have glazing like cable net glazing, not only in private airports and GVK or GMR airports, even in airport authority owned airports, we have this cable net glazing kind of thing and state-of-art electromechanical services. In terms of the spacing between the grids also, you have 120 meter without unsupported arrangements, so that you have a huge hall spanning 120 meter by 120 meter. Such wide arrangements in terms of design to provide a wow factor and feel. And in terms of design also, shell design, origami design. So a lot of innovative designs coming up even in government airports in the last decade, because otherwise conventionally we have seen government airports to be very subtle in terms of design, but of late in last 10 years, there has been a huge change in terms of that. So that is one thing which we can definitely agree upon.
Perfect. The response is amazing. While you are answering the questions, there are so many questions popping up. Audience, I'm sure we'll be able to answer your questions towards the end. You can keep asking the questions. We'll definitely try and put those questions to the panelists. Over to you, Jayashree.
I'd like to ask Mr. Ranjan. I think Mr. Ranjan, most often contractors are also given the task of operations and maintenance.
Yeah.
Do you? I mean, you also. I could answer it from the Chennai. I mean the Delhi airport and Chennai airport also, Mr. Umashankar. Do you think that this should be separated?
Actually, what I feel, airport operation in general, it's supposed to be the person who has executed, like GVK and all, they built through the EPC contract and they own it for the operation. So they in and out of the project, they knows very well. So there will not be any crisis management because operation is, as far as airport is concerned, the operation is very critical, unlike other buildings. Even it's more or less matching with the operation, like your what do you call hospitals. Hospitals also, it's supposed to be all the time it's live. So similar way, airports, if small error, small miscommunication takes place, then worldwide it will have an impact. Even a small aircraft, one aircraft it get delayed, it's worldwide have a major impact. So operation and built should be, I feel it should be a single person, single contractor, so that it will be very easy for them to manage throughout the project operation and entire airport operation. Your voice is not clear.
Mr.
Can you repeat again?
Mr. Umashankar, you could also speak about, you could also expound on what, or elucidate on what Mr. Ranjan said, and maybe you could also throw light on what exactly O&M means to an airport.
I would add on to whatever Mr. Ranjan said. Well, I certainly agree with some of the input points that Ranjan is giving. Not necessarily that the one who constructed also need to kind of do the operations, because it altogether takes a very different set of procedures and different set of input and output managements that needs to be taken care. So it's up to the ownership that is held at each of the airports to decide on what is most efficient. Like how Jairam talked about. See, the efficiency is what is all about. Today we are aiming at that to have the best efficiency. Every individual team has to operate on its own, and kind of the dependency should be the least one. So at the maximum, what we can think of is synchronizing a kind of what input is given by Ranjan, and developing onto it so that you have an operation and maintenance team which has team members who did the construction job. I think Ranjan will agree with me. In that way, the construction maintenance becomes easier, which adds efficiency in terms of operations of the individual airport. That's how I look at it.
Complex is an operation and maintenance of an airport? How complex is it?
Certainly, every job is as complex as it should be and as it is. And we have many tools these days with the kind of global participation that we have in each of the airport. So the individual teams are capable of managing it. And to be very frank, I am not into operations or maintenance. So what, as a EPC members, what we do is that we take care, maybe Chintan will be able to tell that at the point of design, at the initial stage itself, that the operational efficiency also have to be put into the system for construction, so that during the time of operation and maintenance, you have enough of redundancies to operate the airport without stopping or without holding any part of it. At the same time, carry on with your maintenance and put the things back into the stream so that you are able to operate at 100% efficiency.
Chintan, would you like to talk about what is the kind of operational efficiency that you foresee when you all design an airport? And what changes over time?
Well, as I said before, that that airports generally, when we design airport, we have all the aspects considered, and operations and maintenance is another one. It is not that once airport is built, it is being put into operation, or it is not that once airport is being built, it is being maintained. All these aspects are considered right in advance at the design stage, and we have the experts on board, whether it be from operations, whether it be from maintenance, and there has been a lot of detailing that goes into it during the design stage. And it, as far as my experience is concerned, even if it is same company that builds the airport and runs the airport, there are different teams who have different skill set for doing their particular job. So when you construct, you have a construction skill, and when you operate, you have a operation skill. And the biggest, there's a process that kind of eases this transition between constructing and operating, and it is called operational readiness. And it is being practiced in all the airports which are being built, that there is at least a 6 months period of ORAT, that the teams who are building and the teams who are going to take over, they work together, they do all the trainings, and actually you bring in real people as passenger, and you try baggage, and you try every process. So before the airport is made operational, it has gone through all the training aspects and all the experimentation. That because it's a number of people that are going to take over, embody that building that is being built. So and there are so many multiple systems that need to function properly from day one. So this is the 6 months time, which is the most critical time in any airport to make it operational. And I will also like to add here one more thing, that with the new technology, this transition is also becoming more easier with, as Mr. Umashankar said earlier, that BEAM has been a great help in designing and constructing. Similarly, there is a digital twin that we now talk about, that everything that is being designed is there it's like a live model that you take to the operation stage. And generally, so when operations, there are any issues, that they can go back to the digital twin. And that's how the knowledge sharing and the knowledge transition happens. So these are the ways in which they are done.
Indrajit, would you like to throw up a poll question, or just throw up a question from the audience? We have so many of them coming in. Indrajit, the mic is on mute.
Yeah, I have just launched a poll. Meanwhile, you can continue asking your other questions, Jayashree. I also wanted to check, can we allow one or two audience questions to come on live?
I guess so, yeah. That will make it more interactive.
So, I'll try and allow an architect, who is trying to reach us from. There are a couple of architects who are there, who have come in from Nagpur, and one very famous architect from Nagpur, Mr. Virendra Khare, is with us, and I guess he has a question. I'll just allow him in. Mr. Khare, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Mr. Khare. Indrajit here.
Yeah,
you are audible to the panelist. You can put your question now.
Yeah, basically what I expect that from an airport design, when I have traveled to airports like Incheon in Seoul, then at airport at Hong Kong, I could see that the material management in terms of the luggage, how it is handled, how the passengers are handled. These everything are highly technical. How they check in, how the luggage goes out, how the people move in. So it is so highly technical that it requires a lot of engineering input more than architecture input. Architect's role is very less in airport designing, I think, but it's more of aesthetics. Like if you see Incheon, the shape of the building itself is so great, but whatever literature I've heard about the Incheon airport is, there was a time when the entire Korean architects were working on single project, and that was Incheon airport. It was around 5,000 architects. They worked on it, engineering and architect consultants. And they created such a beautiful structure. I don't know how many of you have seen it, but it was really beautiful. So what I expect from like, sorry, this Mumbai airport is really done very, very well. Even Delhi airport. I expect the Nagpur is also going to have one international airport shortly. They've already tendered. I don't know GVK got it or GMR got it, but somebody is going to come up with the airport. So I expect the similar kind of material man management in these airports.
Got your question, Mr. Khare. Anyone would like to take it from the panelist?
Yeah, I was expecting something from Mr. Shukla.
Mr. Shukla?
Yeah, I think you are absolutely right. As I can only talk from Mumbai airport perspective, that whatever you see the Mumbai airport being built, it's almost more than 6 years now since it is operational, but everything in it, every detail in it, every material that goes, it requires a lot of engineering and coordination. As far as your statement that architects have lesser role to play in airport designs, I would kind of disagree, because all that you see, it is basically led by architects, and they have supporting engineering team and supporting experts from baggage and all the other systems. Yeah,
I do agree that
they all work together, because finally it is being led by architect and architecture team, and it all gets into a lot of coordination and all. Mr. Jairam also discussed about how a successful interface can happen between all this and various team members. I think you talked about 5,000 people for Incheon. I think that sounds like a very big number, but we don't. I mean, I can say that as far as the design was concerned, it was about, say, 500 people, that worked in different parts of world. And to share just a little further on this experience, that it requires immense coordination. And at times we think, because you have multiple consultants who are sitting in different parts of world, and you have a lot of web meetings and all. What we are having now, we have been having for ages now, trying to resolve issues, trying to go through drawings, and each one trying to resolve. But it finally, whenever certain issues which come up, finally it is best resolved face to face.
Yeah, that I agree.
Thank you, Mr. Khare. We'll move on to the next question, Jayashree.
Yeah, I think Vibhor has a question for Mr. Ravi Kumar.
Yeah.
Vibhor, you're on mute.
Yeah, Mr. Ravi Kumar, can you hear me?
Yeah, of course.
As Mohit Shapurji, I just wanted to understand what are some of the major projects that you've been involved, especially in terms of the airport, and which one comes closest to you, and why?
Okay. So airport, we have been associated with 3 airports currently. All 3 are with the Airport Authority of India. One is Andaman Nicobar, Port Blair Airport. Second is the expansion at Guwahati Airport. And third is the airport at Leh. So as Chennai region, our region handles the Andaman Nicobar Port Blair Airport. So that way, definitely it is closest to me.
Yes, sir. So you said Port Blair is closest to you.
Port Blair is closest to us. And in terms of challenges also, since though it is part of India, so you have 1,200 kilometers of sea in between India and Port Blair. So that way, in terms of logistically, it poses a lot of challenge, and that is unique in terms of design also. I mean, as though it is far off from India, in terms of design also, it is very unique with all state-of-art technology in terms of architecture or the elements which has been put inside the project. So that is definitely unique.
So what would you say are a couple of the key differentiator at this particular airport, sir? What are the two highlights that you would say, which stands out?
It stands out because the span, generally the span, the width of the span is almost 120 meters. You have supports only at this end and that end. It is almost 120 meters is the span there. And in terms of glazing also, it is a cable net glazing. We have cable net glazing in T2 terminal, Mumbai also. So, and the expertise involved in cable net, particularly doing it and in terms of the structural steel elements which have gone for and the design of the roof structure for the span of 120 meters. That is quite unique in terms of fabricating at Chennai and transporting it all the way to Port Blair. So that is because neither you have the space in Port Blair nor the weather permits you, because the challenge in Port Blair is that almost 7 to 8 months you have monsoon, heavy monsoon there. So you cannot essentially fabricate things. You have to fabricate at Chennai, logistically take it there. In terms of sheeting arrangement also, you have to have all because you have a lot of layers of the roof structure has got 7 layers with all glass wool insulation and other things. So you have a limited window with which you have to cover the roof before the monsoon sets in. So enclose the whole thing. Also, the design in most cases is challenging with respect to projects which are with Airport Authority, because the design build or the lump sum contract is still not there. So you have one person doing the design and another executing. So that is in terms of challenge, because the accountability part, it varies place to place. So design challenges are one thing which is definitely there with respect to airports. So in terms of soil exploration, you always face challenges with soil, because whatever you have considered during the design phase, when you actually execute, you find some difference there. So there is always a time loss and some design changes which is always encountered. I believe that with due experience in all these aspects, a definite evolvement would happen in terms of design also.
Wonderful. Thank you.
I think Indrajit, you have a question for Jairam. Hello.
Indrajit, your mic.
Mike.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm glad that 78% of the audience feels that Indian airports are well maintained. Really happy to know that. Yeah, now I have a question for Mr. Jairam. It's like, how has digitization changed the scenario of project management, Mr. Jairam? Like, has it changed drastically, or is there still scope for improvement?
Absolutely. I think last 10 years has witnessed, as much as we started to build good airports for us, the process of delivery, right from design up to construction and handing over, and then thereon operation and maintenance, digitalization that you might call has got a very huge impact. If you look at, the way in which people or the stakeholders communicate between themselves, exchange of information, providing access to information, storing information on cloud. And then most importantly, these days, we are also heading towards paperless office. So one of the jobs that we are doing right now, we almost have reduced the use of paper and how designs can be reviewed online and how it can be approved. So I think that's one thing. The second thing is also we all must have heard about the documentation management systems, the DMS, as is shortly called. There are various specialized companies that offer like Econex, Procore, who are all in the market. But one of the things that they do is how to bring everybody in one platform. And I think those things are extremely useful. Without that, I think we cannot manage such large projects. All these jobs are fast track, be it done on a PPP route or AAI, all of them are fast track projects. So fast track projects, one of the things that we need is excellent communication and electronic intervention. Therefore, digitalization is very, very important, plays a very important role. The other thing that I know it was kind of mentioned, but I really want to kind of expand upon it is building information modeling. BIM is, everyone knows, a lot of people in the industry know it. A lot of good contracting companies and owners also use it, but it's more restricted at the design stage. But what we would like to see is, and we are trying to implement is on the jobs, is try to take it through into the construction and follow it at every stage. Because one of the benefits of the BIM, which is 3D modeling, or 4D, wherein we talk about sequencing of construction, 5D, we're talking about cost. Then we talk about 6D and 7D, which is more the project life cycle, and then into facilities management and things like that. It's a wonderful tool. And in some countries like Singapore and Middle East and all, it's been mandated, by law to make it as a part of your construction. And I would strongly recommend and urge the stakeholders who are there here on all our projects to start implementing it throughout, because it helps in accuracy of information. B, we are able to kind of, virtually simulate what's happening, what's going to happen, work at clash detection and things like that. So it helps a lot in reworks. People who are looking at quality and design, they would really kind of second what I'm saying. It's extremely important, helps a lot. But I feel the penetration has been very, very low. The impact is not that much. We do struggle, I must tell you. It's not very clear that people start embracing it. But we want, this is something that we should kind of put it on all the large projects. And most of the companies have got excellent facilities. BIM is a great, India is a great hub for BIM outsourcing, doing a lot of job for a lot of architects from various parts of the world. So I think we should just take it up to all project sites. So yeah, that's pretty much I would think in terms of digitalization. Last but not the least, look at what we are doing. This is nothing but a kind of an offshoot of what the technology has given us. We've been communicating electronically. We're having Zoom meetings. We're having Microsoft Teams. All that we are doing is we are running a parallel office right now over the last 30 days. So it's going to become the new normal, as we say. So I'm saying definitely, why airports? I think it's a trend that's there.
It's part of our life now. Like this.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Mr. Umashankar, would you like to add on to it?
Certainly. As far Larsen & Toubro is concerned, the digitization is in full throttle. Actually, I would say that, like our management is absolutely into it and then driving it day in, day out. Today, we have not less than 9 to 10 apps. Each app takes care of a department. To say, there is a separate app that monitors the safety department, which is the prime department that's taken care. We have an app that takes care of the plant and machineries. As you know, that L&T operates in more than 3-digit number of projects, and every project has got its own set of plant and machinery. And every plant and machinery needs to have its own fuel efficiency as well as time in the idle period and kind of thing. And when we come to the quality, the kind of work that is being done on a daily basis, which needs to be done through digitization. We have app on almost all criteria and areas. I'll say almost all of us, every department now are into a kind of very synchronized manner. The data management has improved so much. It makes it easy for the management to decide on what extra needs to be done or where what is to be done. This is the kind of input that this digitization has brought into our industry, which also leads to time cost optimization as an opportunity. You know, when I say this time cost optimization, the moment we have an app in which we kind of keep updating the data, the moment you have more data, you are always in a possibility of having a dashboard, the possibility of having a dashboard that shows you the positives and negatives, and also the ways and means of improving the positives. That means improving the efficiency. The more you are into the digitization, I feel the more people are kind of getting linked to each other, each department, each area, each project. So collectively, it becomes a comparative tool also. It can compare between zone to zone. It can compare between project to project, between department to department, to think of the efficiency, ultimately leading to optimization as well as cost control, which is so good for the operator as well as the owner.
Perfect. Over to you, Jayashree. Unmute your mic, Jayashree.
Mr. Ranjan, I have one question for you. In terms of procurement of materials, since you're talking about quality, in terms of procurement of materials, is there such a system as global procurement, and how important is that, if there is none?
Yes, ma'am. When we talk about the international airports, obviously it is from one country to another country, people used to fly here and there. So it has to be procured globally. At the same time, there should be a cost comparison, and quality consistency has to be met with in spite of whether we are procuring from a global level or national level. But there should be a comparison. But global level material should be definitely brought in, because everything cannot be bought within the nation. There are material which should be given priority to national level, but at the same time, global level material also need to be bought in, since it is a airport where the different kind of people, from different country people are entering into. Definitely there should be a importance given to the global level material sourcing. There is no doubt about that.
Chintan, I would like to ask you about sustainability. Like when you talk about airport, sustainability, a vast infrastructure as an airport must include sustainability. What is the level of sustainability included in an airport design and
Well, I think these days, every airport, every such mega project that is being built, they all kind of aspire to become, at least LEED, gold, or silver or platinum, and it's become a norm. In India also, almost every airport that is being built, they are all being very conscious about the sustainability aspect of it, and that I think all the panelists would agree. As far as designing is concerned, I think we have to take maximum advantage of all the resources we have, use it in the best possible way. We are talking about solar power, we are talking about wind energy. These days, there are a lot of things that we keep talking about, to the extent that, you walk on a mat and it produces some kind of energy. Passengers who are waiting in the gate lounge areas, they can exercise or cycle, and that can produce some energy which can be used. So it can be taken to any level of detail, which most of the airports are now working. I think globally, all the airports are being very ambitious about their sustainability. One thing I would definitely like to say, other than airports, that I think it's also a challenge to be as efficient in sustainability as we can. And I think other industries, not just airports, but all the other projects. I know that in India, most of the other projects, to the extent that these days even developers, they send in their entry for the best lead building and all. And so it has percolated down to even the commercial buildings, the residential apartments. Builders are talking about sustainability, and that is being shown as a salient feature for selling a apartment. This is definitely a very progressive step that I see. And but we still need to do a lot. I think, as I say that अगर बच्चा नहीं माने तो या तो उसको डराया जाता है या तो फिर उसको ललचाया जाता है. So we all have been scared in past that, you know, if you don't do this by 2030, the air quality is going to be like this, water is going to dry out, and all sorts of things. So we have been scared, and we are still not woken up. But now the God Almighty has lulchawed us by showing the best days around, where there is clean air, where there is clean water, drinkable water. Even if you don't understand now, go to hell.
Sir, Mr. Chintan, just taking, I think it's a very beautiful point you made, Mr. Shukla. In fact, I think the whole idea of sustainability should come up as individuals, as society. And airports and large commercial buildings, I think it's imperative to have, in the start, to have look at sustainability. Well, in terms of residential, IGBC, LEED, Griha have been phenomenally successful. But what happens in the airport? Are there strict governance, kind of a regime? One should give impetus on sustainability. And is there a way to reward? Is there a way to punish as well?
Excuse me, I think Jairam has to leave. So Jairam, maybe you would like to just sum up and then, leave this meeting. Yes, Jairam?
Yeah.
Okay, would you like to sum up, because I know you have to leave now. So would you just like to sum up before you leave, and then we can continue with the other gentlemen?
Sure. Yeah, I would just like to tell one thing, that one of the core things of project management is how we can avoid delays to the schedule, and I think that's important for everybody. But I'm telling you, from the experience that we have in managing 2 large airports, I can only tell you, let's focus on the E part of EPC, which is the engineering. It's at the front, and if you are able to bring the best resources there, and everybody comes together and we resolve issues in a workshop in a very, very coordinated manner, I'm telling you, the EPC, the procurement and the construction part of it will be relatively easy. I'm not saying there won't be challenges, but we have to put a lot of stress on engineering. I'm telling you, it is, we have done all the studies, every kind of the analysis says that the delay happens at the engineering stage for various reasons as it gets. So with that note, I would like to sign off. Sorry, I have to get into another meeting. It was nice participating. Thank you so much, Jayashree and everybody, Chintan, Ravi, Uma, everyone. Thank you so much. Really appreciate. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Jairam.
Thanks, Jairam.
So I'm just going to take Jayashree, your mic is muted. I'm just taking with the question on sustainability, where I was asking Mr. Shukla, are there any stringent norms of governance and like how we have in the residential sector, sir?
Yeah, these days, sorry, I'm audible?
Yeah, you are audible, sir.
Yeah, so there are definitely norms, and also because there are environmental norms, there are very stringent norms which we follow, the LEED norms, the ASHRAE norms. Every engineering discipline has its own codal norms which you need to follow to ensure that the best practice is being followed. So it becomes part and parcel of airport design that you have to be aware of all this and in every aspect. And at times when especially in the PPP model, at times in the concession agreement also, the government puts it as a requirement that you have to follow so and so norms. So it becomes very much a mandatory aspect. And that's the reason most of the airports follow these days.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Oh, yeah, Jayashree.
Do you have any questions for Hari Kumar, or maybe we could ask everyone to just summarize and then wind up?
Before we summarize, I just thought, we must take a 30-seconder with each of the gentlemen, asking them which is their most favorite airport, certainly not theirs. Which is your favorite airport, but not certainly done by you. We'll start with Mr. Umashankar.
I hope that nobody should take offense or kind of feel sorry for it. But I've been kind of traveling extensively and then been visiting a lot. Close to my heart is Hyderabad Airport.
All right.
Hyderabad Airport. Okay.
I say that because I always felt going in and coming out has been as smooth as possible, and I had the least kind of delays at any point of time.
No delays, easy move in, easy get out. Okay.
And a very good ambience. No, that's what. But because when I go to different airports, I go there as a customer, not as a kind of a contractor or as an engineer.
And
so
with a very
with
a very screening eyes.
Yes, certainly. Quality is the first part.
Awesome. Mr. Ravi Kumar, your favorite and certainly not Shapurji's.
Yeah, it is Mumbai T2 Airport.
Wow.
Oh,
Mr. Shuk. Yeah. All right. Any particular specs on that? Anything that really like? I tell you what I like. I mean, apart from technology and easy movement in and out, I'm like absolutely floored to see the architecture there.
Absolutely.
That peak
as you
thing,
enter.
And it's like world famous, and we are so proud of it. It's a design marvel. Yes, Mr. Ravi Kumar. Sorry, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. So right from the entrance, even the architecture of the entrance canopy, the column and that porch, and the cable net glazing which is done right at the front, the space, the uniformity of the granite, and the launch facilities there, the kind of aero bridges facility. So in every aspect, it was nothing, comparable to any best airport in the world.
Absolutely. Brilliant, sir. Thank you. Mr. Ranjan?
I'm sorry, I was part of that airport. I was heading quality.
You should not be sorry, sir. You should be proud.
Because Sir has said that I should not be part of that airport. So unfortunately, I was there in that airport. Really, I'm proud of that. I'm part of that airport.
You should take a bow.
Really, I could not able to came across in none other airport like Mumbai International Airport, sir.
Yeah.
In fact, many airports we ourselves has built, but still, as he rightly said, even the entrance itself, it demonstrates the quality, the kind of finishes done, whichever the architect has imagined, that put in practice and that made reality.
Correct.
Everyone pride of that airport.
Mr. Ranjan, just another one. I know Mumbai we talked. Is there any other one? Second best?
Second best, if you see, as Mr. Umashankar said, yes, this Hyderabad is really good.
Okay. So it's Bombay, Hyderabad. And
yes.
Coming to Mr. Shukla now.
Well, I am also put in a very difficult spot, not talking about Mumbai.
No.
Yeah. So I think my second best is Changi.
Wow.
And I also like Zurich Airport.
Very nice. I think Jayashree, we really got it. And I think Jayashree, would you like to say yours and Indrajit as well? My vote goes to Mumbai for sure.
My vote goes to Mumbai as well as Delhi. Delhi is my second favorite airport. Even 90% of our audience believes that we should develop world-class airports. But there are few in the audience. I'm getting a lot of questions that we, being a developing economy, why should we have such swanky airports? Why should we spend so much of taxpayers' monies on airport? It should be more of functional airport rather than a beautiful airport. I'm getting these kind of questions. If anyone wants to take it.
I must add. I asked this question to Chintan in the morning about taxpayers' money, and he said, "No, it is not taxpayers' money that goes into building an airport." Chintan, you would like to talk about that?
No, I'll keep the money part aside, but I'll at least answer the question. as I said earlier, the airport is a gateway to a city and to a country,
Exactly.
and we view it as a new civil center and a civil space, a congregation of so many things. So as I said earlier, that the passengers have raised their expectations to a level where you have to make it, and it shows your face to the world. And there is a I think if someone has got wrong information that the airports that we see, they are being very exorbitantly costly. If you compare it per square meter rate with any of the international airports, in India, we have been building it very economically. It's just that we are smart people, right? Indians. So we know where to spend, where it matters.
True.
And that is what you see. And that is what you appreciate. So it's not that they are so exorbitantly expensive. It's just all meant to give you the best experience. The reason that all my panelists today said that Mumbai airport is the best, it comes with proud. It is not
True.
about money.
Yeah, it's a pride.
It is the experience that it has given them.
Yeah,
And
the
that
kind
is
of
priceless.
the kind of architecture, the kind of artwork, the kind of maintenance that goes into it. Amazing.
Right.
Yeah, I guess Chintan answered a lot of questions that were raised by the audience. Can I take one question from the audience? Can I take one of the audience live, if you guys allow?
Yeah,
Sure,
go
sure,
ahead,
go
go ahead,
ahead.
go ahead.
Mr. Krishna Paul, I'm taking you live, Mr. Krishna. You can introduce yourself and then ask the question, Mr. Krishna.
Yes.
Mr.
Yeah,
You,
Mike.
you can introduce
Yeah.
yourself and ask the question. Keep it brief.
Yeah. Myself, I am from Exelize. I am a senior project manager over there. Mostly, we are working on the BEAM projects.
Okay.
So, my question is to Mr. Chintan that how effectively you use the BEAM for the maintenance, like facility management part of the airports.
Well, as Mr. Jairam earlier elaborated on it, these days, every airport, most of the ones that I know, even in India, they are all working on BEAM. And it's only a question of to what level you take that BEAM. Many of them might take it only up to design or construction stage. But as he explained, it has many more advantages as you take it from construction to operations, and while the airport is running, because it has some excellent features in it. And that's where I said that it can then be the digital world has raised itself so much. Then we talk about digital twin, where it can be taken to the next level. So all that he mentioned, 4D, 5D, 6D, this is all about using it as a model as you take it to the next level, and it becomes so much easier. Imagine that in early days when you hand over a project and when there is a completely new team who is maintaining that building, if something goes wrong in the building anywhere, anything, and you have to take out your documents, most of the teams don't even know where those documents are, where the ducts are, where the pipes are. You don't know anything. And you have to again try to get at the source, finding the documents and rectifying things. But now it is so easy with this BEAM model that you can access every point that you have problem with, and it can give you each and every data in it. It is not just drawing, it has all the data, where it came from, what is it made of, what are the specifications, where it can go wrong, how it can be reinstated. So there's ample information that you get, which makes the life so much easier. You don't have to run here and there for finding documents, getting the know-how. It is all there in one model.
Krishna, I
Yes,
guess
correct.
you got your answer.
Yes,
Thank you
correct.
so
I believe.
much.
My question was: is any airport is using this facility at present?
Yes, of course. Most of the airports that are being built today, are all done with BIM, and most of them, as I know, they take it to the next level. I think Mr. Uma Shankar, you can also add to it.
Yeah, I'm 100% in agreement with you. Like the BIM starts and ends. Like it becomes a kind of a single point where at the time of construction as well as during the operations, it becomes a kind of vault of information where people can go into, get data, come out, get the job done. It's such a kind of highly resourceful area, which is now the BIM. It's as simple as that.
Correct.
Thank you, Mr. Uma Shankar. Thank you, Krishna. I
Thank
have
you.
one more very interesting question, which is relevant to the current situation. This is by Rishikesh Sanat Kumar Joshi. He is asking, with airlines heading towards difficult times and many of them going towards bankruptcy, where do you see airports infrastructure ROI going? It's a burning issue. Any of you can take this?
Yeah.
Anyone?
Yeah. Can I just start with a few words?
Sure,
It's not
please.
It's not going to be only in one industry. This is for the first time we are all hearing, at least in my service time or in my this 55 years of life. I'm thinking, seeing something like a lockdown, and certainly we are all, when we get exposed to this kind of threats, we have the ability to convert it into an opportunity, and we will do it. There is no problem at all.
True.
Very quickly, Indrajit, Mr. Khare wanted to make a point from Nagpur.
Sure.
Can you unmute,
Should I?
Mr.? Yeah, Mr. Khare.
Yeah. Mr. Khare, are you online now? Hello, Mr. Khare, are you online? Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead, sir.
Chintan, I would like to add one more thing in all airport design is make some space for people who were to stay for a long time on airport. They must have some multiplex screens or maybe some play zone for children, because they just get bored up. I mean, they may have a staying area, but these two entertainment zones should be there. And it was really great listening to Mr. Chintan, Mr. Ravi Kumar, Mr. Jairam, Uma Shankar and Ranjan. And it was really great attending this conference.
Correct. It's very.
Thank you very much.
And Mr. Khare, thank you. Mr.
Thanks. I take your point. We have, I think, we have all these facilities at the airport, and most of the airports these days have entertainment facilities and kids play area. Kids play area is, I have seen almost everywhere we have, and people do use it. Kids do enjoy. It's the best time that they can spend in the airport. So, but point well taken. Thank you.
Jayashree, can we take two more questions from the audience? Do we have time?
Go ahead.
I'll take it from Sanjeev Bhatt. Sanjeev, you can hear us? Hello? Sanjeev Bhatt? Sanjeev, you can hear us?
He's in mute, I think.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah. Now
Sanjeev, you are live.
Okay.
You can introduce yourself and put the question.
Yeah, I'm from Excelize, and I take a lot of pride for being a BIM solution service provider for Terminal 2, which everybody has appreciated. I take a lot of pride for that. See, my question is, okay, we have a lot of airports which are using BIM, whether it is small or large. One glaring issue which I would like to put it across, or I would say it's a challenge, is there is no single standard. Is the airport authority working on a general or a single one common guidelines? Or do you think that we should have one common guideline across all the airport for implementation of BIM? Hello?
Mr. Ravi Shankar or Mr. Uma Shankar, anyone of you can take it.
No, I would leave it because I'm not much into.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it's a good question. I think when we follow this I think the standards you are talking about, we are not talking about any BEAM standards, Indian standards. Generally, when we start engineering, we start like, you go through different stages of design, and each design is like we say concept, scheme design, detail design, and all.
Correct.
So everyone says that, what is it? What does concept design mean? What does scheme design mean? What does detail design mean? And some standard has to tell, because it's a very broader term, and how to get it right. Similarly, for the BEAM models, generally we follow the standards either specified by American standards or RIBA standards, and that is the understanding we come to with the consultant in early part of the design, and then we follow those norms.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, in terms of airport, that is, since we are dealing with major airports with Airport Authority of India, so BIM is a part of the tender requirements with all the tenders floated of late. And not only Airport Authority, today order of the day is that since we are dealing with things as a construction company, apart from airport, we deal with the CPWD and all major government companies like NBCC or any other government organizations. So in every tender of late, BIM is an integral part, right? As a pre-qualification criteria itself, in most of the design, build and lump sum contracts, it is a PQ criteria, in fact, that you should have experience of handling BIM, or you should show an association with a BIM agency so that you can qualify for certain projects. So that is now order of the day now.
Yeah, it's a mandate. Definitely, it's a mandate, but there's no proper guideline. See, there were certain guidelines which were being made long time back, but with time, we should keep on changing the guidelines. And we have to have very competitive people or agencies or firm for delivering such kind of a solution. Let's say GVK is an expert, Shapoorji Pallonji is expert, L&T an expert. So when we have service providers or BIM solution providers, they have to have that kind of expertise. They have to have that kind of, I would say, expertise or skill sets to deliver that kind of.
There are BIM forum standards, so
Yeah.
I think that we follow, and it's pretty detailed standards that is being followed.
I think it also has an entire BIM academy, right?
Right.
Yeah, there is a BIM. Thanks, Sanjeev. It's like point well taken. It's like thank you so much for joining
Thanks
in.
a lot. It was a wonderful webinar and a lot of learning and insights from all the experts from all the verticals.
Thank you
Thanks
so
very
much.
It was interesting.
I'll take one more question. Tanya Keen, I'm putting you online.
Hello.
Tanya, you are live now. Introduce yourself and then you can ask the question.
Hello, my name is Tanya. I'm a project coordinator. I have only one question. That can we have a specific code related to BIM for residential and as well as for airport? Or can we have some specific guidelines so that we can know how to use in our construction industry, in any of the construction industries?
I guess they just answered your question. There is a BIM Academy. There's a board dedicated to BIM, which handles all this.
And one more question to Ravi Kumar sir. What the most two important challenges you were faced during your Port Blair airport?
Number one is the logistics. Second one is weather.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Tanya. So, Jayashree, over to you.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This was indeed a great learning. This is the first time actually Construction Week organized a small panel discussion or a webinar on airports, and it was, it has enlightened us much. Thank you. So thank you for attending, and thank you for all the response. And thank you for attendees for attending this panel discussion, and thank you for the questions. What we'll do is you'll receive an email after this. It's a survey form. We'll be very grateful if you just fill it and send it across. We will also be posting this webinar online so that, those who could not attend or those who registered and did not attend can also view it later on at a much convenient date. We are hosting one more webinar tomorrow, which will have some of the finest minds in real estate speaking. So we have Baman Rani, we have Ashish Purunkara, we have Sangeeta Prasad, all of them talking. We have Sanjay Dutt, and Anuj Fure, all of them talking on real estate, the pandemic and how it will affect real estate. And that is tomorrow again at 4 o'clock. In case you are interested, do let us know. We'll send you across a link. So this webinar will go online tomorrow, exactly 24 hours later. So you can also watch it on our website again in case you want to share it with your friends or something, the link. So we'll also send you the link. Thank you so much. Do keep in touch, and we'll also keep in touch with you.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Ravi.
Thank you so much.
Mr.
It was a
Chintan.
very
Thank you.
helpful webinar. So we would like to thank everybody on the panel. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Bye.